In the quiet town of Wichita, Kansas, a sinister figure lurked in the shadows, terrorizing the community for nearly 2 decades. Dennis Rader, better known as the BTK Killer, left a trail of fear and death in his wake. This is the chilling story of a man whose twisted desires drove him to commit heinous crimes, a story of darkness and ultimately justice. Early life. Dennis Rader's story begins in Pittsburgh, Kansas on March 9, 1945. Raised in Wichita, he experienced a childhood marked by neglect and growing fascination with sadistic fantasies. Rader had horrible sexual fantasies about tormenting, trapped, and helpless women since childhood. His zoo sadism included torturing, killing, and hanging small animals. As he matured, Rader engaged in voyeurism, autoerotic asphyxiation, and cross-dressing, spying on female neighbors in women's attire, including stolen underwear, and masturbating with ropes or other binds around his arms and neck. Rader took images of himself bound in women's attire and a female mask during his cooling-off periods between murders. Afterward, he acknowledged to playing his victims in a sexual fantasy. To those around him, he appeared normal and well-mannered, a facade that masked his sinister desires. He was considered normal, polite, and well-mannered by this community, despite hiding his sexuality. After graduating from Wichita Heights High School, Dennis Rader pursued a brief college stint at Kansas Wesleyan University, but dropped out after a year due to mediocre grades. He then served in the United States Air Force from the 1966 to 1970. Following his military service, Rader settled in Park City near Wichita and found work in a supermarket's meat department, where his mother also worked as a bookkeeper. He married Paula Dietz in 1971, and they had 2 children, Carrie and Brian. Rader continued his education, earning an associate degree in electronics engineering technology in 1973 from Butler County Community College. He furthered his studies at Wichita State University, graduating in 1979 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Administration of Justice. Despite his ordinary facade, Rader took a dark turn, committing a series of gruesome murders from 1974 to 1991. The Murders. Between 1974 and 1991, Dennis Rader unleashed a reign of terror on Wichita and Park City, Kansas, primarily targeting women. His modus operandi was chillingly methodical. On January 15, 1974, he entered the Otero family's Wichita home, cutting their phone lines and forcing them at gunpoint to lie on the living room floor. Rader tied them up and covered their heads with plastic bags, suffocating Joseph Otero Sr. and strangling Julie Otero. When their son, Joey, woke up, Rader temporarily removed the bag but strangled Joey afterward. He then took their daughter Josie to the basement, leaving behind damning evidence. Rader later detailed these horrifying killings in a letter hidden in a library book in October 1974. On April 4, 1974, Rader entered the home of 21-year-old Catherine Doreen Bright, but was surprised by her 19-year-old brother, Kevin Bright. He subdued Kevin at gunpoint and proceeded to tie up Catherine. Rader attempted to strangle her, but resorted to stabbing her when she resisted. He also strangled Kevin and shot him in the head, though Kevin managed to feign death and escape. Rader's next victim, 25-year-old Shirley Ruth Relford, was found dead at her Wichita home on March 17, 1977. He had initially targeted a neighbor but found Relford by following her 5-year-old son. Rader terrorized the family, locking her 3 children in the bathroom. After vomiting, Rader tied Relford to her bedpost and strangled her with a rope, while her children screamed in the background. Miraculously, the children escaped. Nancy Jo Fox, 25, became another victim on December 8, 1977. Rader, having stalked her, entered her Wichita home after disconnecting the phone lines. He waited for her in the kitchen and called her murder a flawless hit. Despite confessing to the Otero murders, Rader strangled Fox with his belt on her bed, later reporting her body to the police. In early 1978, Rader wrote chilling letters to a television station confessing to the Otero, Bright, Relford, and Fox murders. He also introduced the ominous moniker BTK, Bind, Torture, Kill. His letters revealed a disturbing obsession with Factor X, a supernatural force driving his murderous urges. On May 5, 1985, Rader killed 53-year-old Maureen Hedge, a member of the Christ Lutheran Church, where he served as council president. He photographed her lifeless body in various restraints and transported her to a ditch. Restraining orders were issued against Rader but stalked victims in the 1980s and 1990s. Rader's rampage continued, claiming the life of 28-year-old Vicki Lynn Wiggerly on September 16, 1986. Posing as a phone repairman, he strangled her with a nylon stocking and took post-mortem photos. His final victim, 62-year-old Dolores Erlyn D. Davis, met the same fate on January 19th, but her body was found in Park City, Kansas. The arrestment. Throughout his killing spree, Dennis Rader displayed a disturbing need for control, taking mementos from his victims, such as their underwear and licenses. He revealed in tormenting both law enforcement and the media by sending them detailed letters outlining his gruesome acts. After a chilling 13-year hiatus, he resumed sending these letters in 2004, rekindling fear and curiosity in the community. However, Rader's arrogance eventually proved to be his downfall. In a series of communications with local media during 2004, he not only revealed shocking details about his crimes, but also carelessly left behind crucial evidence. His final and fatal mistake came when he sent a floppy disk containing metadata directly linking him to the Christ Lutheran Church. Ironically, he held a position of authority as the president of the church council, unknowingly sealing his own fate. This discovery ignited a renowned effort by law enforcement to unmask the BTK Killer, ultimately leading to his arrest in 2005. Rader's own hubris and his inability to resist taunting his pursuers played a pivotal role in bringing an end to his reign of terror. On February 25, 2005, Rader's reign of terror came to an end when he was arrested near his Park City home. His arrest marked a turning point as he confessed to his heinous act, sparing no gruesome detail. The chilling admission sent shock waves through the community, and victims' families finally had the chance to confront the man who had haunted their nightmares for decades. The trial and sentencing. Moving on to the trial, Rader's lack of remorse was chillingly apparent. He received a sentence of 10 consecutive life terms, amounting to a minimum of 175 years behind bars. The absence of the death penalty in Kansas at the time meant that he would spend the rest of his life incarcerated. During his sentencing, Rader's rambling apology reflected his inability to comprehend the emotional suffering he had inflicted on his victims and their families. Consequently, he was placed in solitary confinement for his own protection, with only limited privileges granted for good behavior. Suspected murders. However, in a shocking turn of events, on August 23, 2023, it was reported that Dennis Rader was suspected of being involved in 2 additional killings, this time in Oklahoma and Missouri. This discovery came about when authorities searched his former home in Kansas and found what they believed could be the mementos or trophies from his victims. This led to a broader investigation into Rader's potential connection to other unsolved disappearances and murders, casting a new shadow of suspicion over his already notorious legacy. One of these cases involved 16-year-old Cynthia Dawn Kinney, who went missing in Osage, Oklahoma on June 23, 1976. She was last seen at a local laundromat. In 2023, Osage Sheriff Eddie Virden identified Rader as a prime suspect. This was based on Rader's past involvement with the Boy Scouts in the area and the fact that he had used the phrase "bad wash day" in his writings. Interestingly, when Kinney disappeared, a bank across the street from the laundromat was getting new ADT alarms installed, and Rader happened to work as a regional installer for ADT at that time. Rader had also allegedly mentioned fantasizing about kidnapping a girl from a laundromat. Despite this evidence, Rader denied any involvement, possibly to avoid facing a retrial and the death penalty in Oklahoma. Another case linked to Rader was that of 22-year-old Shauna Beth Garber, previously known as Grace Doe. She was found murdered in McDonald County, Missouri on December 2, 1990. An autopsy revealed that she had been raped, strangled, and hog-tied with various cords approximately 2 months before her body was discovered. Garber had gone missing from Topeka, Kansas on November 3rd, and her remains were identified in 2021. In 2023, authorities revealed that photographic evidence found in one of Rader's journals connected him to the crime scene, making him the prime suspect in Shauna's murder. This raised further questions about the extent of his crimes and the potential victims that may have gone unidentified for years. Dennis Rader, known as the BTK Killer, did terrible things for many years, scaring a whole community. He was caught and punished, thanks to hardworking police and strong families of his victims. It is sad to think there might be more victims we don't know about, like in 2023. Let's keep those victims and their families in our thoughts. Please like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this. And remember, bad things can happen even when everything seems normal.